Phoenix one. And that was just with, like, Phoenix Wright.
Hold it!
Are you absolutely positive that there was no possible routes of escape? Of course I'm sure. And why are you so certain? This is a courthouse, the place where criminals are brought to be judged. What about his twin Phoenix wrong? Come on, you can at least try something else to mix up with, like, the opposite of Phoenix, which I don't know what that would be. If there was an escape route, I'm sure every criminal would be using it to escape. It's just common sense. Miles Edgeworth, I suggest you use a little bit more of it in the future.
Hold it!
You may think it's unshakable, but to me, there are too many unanswered questions. For example, who was it that placed the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand? But you're the only one who is still wondering that. Detective Gumshoe probably had no idea which hand Mr. Faraday used to write with. Even if you know someone, it doesn't mean you know which hand they write with, right? That's true. I have no idea if anyone is left-handed. I just assume everyone's right-handed for the most part. I mean, I don't really care about that sort of thing. I'm not about to let her get a rise out of me with such a flippant statement. I suppose we really reached the end now. I already have my trump card ready. All that remains is to play it. But before I do, I think I should inquire into a little something about our argument. You said earlier that you confirmed the alibis of every other person other than the suspect. However, I don't recall either Francesco or myself speaking with you about the suspect. Ah, but there were witnesses. For you, there is your mentor who gave you an alibi. I see. As for the little missy, she came to the courthouse during the recess and was stopped by a security guard at the door to the hallway. She gave him quite a whipping for that, or so I heard. I'm the daughter of Manfred von Karma, and I will not be forcibly stopped by a guard or a bailiff or anyone else. Wait, so basically the only reason Francesca bothered to show up today was because she found out that I was to be the replacement prosecutor? By the way, Miss Yu, what about everyone's alibi before Detective Gumshoe was assigned to guard duty? What about them? Have you looked into what people were doing during that span of time? What kind of idiot do you take me for? It doesn't matter when the killer went to lobby number 2. From the time we heard the gunshot to the time Mr. Bat and I arrived on the scene as we dashed from lobby number 1, the only person who could have committed the crime was Detective Gumshoe. Yes, if we accept that that is the situation, but it's not. Yes, let's talk about when you and Detective Bat heard that gunshot, shall we? I suppose that if we go by your logic, then Detective Gumshoe is the only one. However, what if the crime scene had occurred at an entirely different time than when that gunshot you heard went off? What then? That gunshot was a trap meant to manipulate. Sadly, your explanation is very lacking, Edgeworth. The gunshot we heard in lobby number 1, care to explain how we could have fabricated it?
Take that!
That tape! Yes, it's exactly what you think it is. This is the surveillance tape of Mr. Rell the prosecution presented in today's trial. This was found in the video player in lobby number 2. Now, it was connected to the large television that had its volume turned all the way up. You can't honestly mean that the sound we heard from that gunshot in the video. Ah, but I do. Which leads me to my next point. The murders occurred much earlier than anyone heard the gunshot. It's found by player 2. That's the only thing I can think of too. After committing double homicide, the killer took the surveillance video out from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag, turned the television all the way up, and left the video to play. If played from the beginning, it would take 30 minutes for the gunshot sound to come on. And since now we know that the method of time manipulation is possible, it opens up the possibility that the killer is someone other than Detective Gumshoe.
Objection!
Sounds like a television doesn't amount much to hear. But of course, Mr. Prosecutor Edgeworth and Little Miss Von Karma already knew that much from the very beginning, right? Of course we knew. Didn't we, Miles? Yes, of course. We know about the soundproof quality of this courthouse rooms. Of course, I'm not about to admit we had no idea until only a little while ago. That's right. And if the rooms are soundproof, then we should not have been able to hear it. And yet, we heard the gunshot clear as day. And that's it. End of story. Huh. But it's not. How should I explain why she was able to hear a gunshot from a soundproof room? The window was open. There's actually one common point between lobby number 1 and lobby number 2. And that is that despite the fact that both rooms have air conditioners installed, a window was open in each. Now we know that the window in lobby number 2 was opened by the killer. However, a window in lobby number 1 was also open. It's probably just coincidence that both were open at that time. It was no mere coincidence, I assure you. Why was the window open in lobby number 1? The answer is that a certain person did something to cause the window to be opened. And that person who triggered the action, that person is the real guilty party. The real killer in this double murder is...
Take that!
Miss Callisto Yu. I hereby formally indict you on the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell. You indict me? Are you serious, Miles? Why do you think she is the killer? I don't understand her motive just yet. But of course I'm serious. Because she is the only one who could have done it. Well, Miss Yu, do you still feel like laughing now? Of course I do, Edgeworth. My argument must not be tight enough yet. Although I now never understood things would spiral into this. Bye, Raz. Have a good day. But I'll have you know I'm enjoying this dance quite a bit. I guess this means it's time for my own rebuttal now, right? You argued that the window is open. However, do you have proof that it was I who did that? Furthermore, do you have proof that the tape was used in committing the crime? Frankly, I'm shocked that you going around accusing people of murder like this, especially with logic as full of holes as yours. This is where it really starts. I mustn't let my guard down for even a second or the truth will blow away. Now is the time to put the patented Von Karma perfect proof to the test.
Hold it!
Evidence? All I need to do is have some prints analyzed and we'll know right away. Be my guest. She sounds as though she has the room to maneuver, which means even if we were to lift prints, they'd only show that it was someone else. But why that someone else was forced to open the window? The simple logic. Why don't I try presenting that piece of evidence? I have nothing to lose. What's wrong? The scrunched eyebrows, lines on your forehead, they're all back. More importantly, are you gonna be okay not running a fingerprint analysis? Yes, I'll be fine. Oh, well in that case, I'll just continue with my testimony, alright? It's the perfume!
Hold it!
I thought I just proved that it was. Sure, you proved that the tape was there at the scene of the crime. However, that doesn't prove that it was actually used in said crime. Unfortunately for you, Miss Yu, the fact that the tape was there in the crime scene in itself is very important. How so? By the very existence of the tape at the crime scene, it proves the possibility that the when of the crime could have been fabricated. And that possibility alone renders all alibis and witness reports irrelevant. Basically, it means that we will need to re-examine every person's movements again. Whether the tape was used in the crime or not, we can re-evaluate afterwards. So in conclusion, you're admitting you can't prove that it was at this point.
Hold it!
Even if you're shocked, that is no concern to me. I do things my own way. Oh? I see you're not laughing for a change. Because I'm shocked. Again, you being shocked is of no concern to me. Let us continue with the testimony. Alright, but let me just say this one thing. You shouldn't go around accusing people.
Hold it!
Full of holes? Well, I suppose it might be. Oh, admitting to your faults now, are we? At this point in time is what I meant to say. Should I take that to mean that you are a sore loser? No matter how full of holes my logic may be right now, if I plug them in one at a time, I will ultimately make my way to the truth. What a paradox. Take care not to fall into one of those holes before you fill it up. Miles, you remember, don't you? About why a window in lobby number 1 was open? Yes, of course. And that's how I'll attack. I'll present the reason why the window had to be opened.
Objection!
I'm sure you've seen this before, haven't you, Miss Yu? Edgeworth, I never knew you were into wearing that kind of perfume. It's not exactly what I recommend for boys, you know. What? This isn't mine! That's right, it's mine, and I received it from Detective Bad, you see? Miss Yu, you can pretend all you like, but we know at least this much is for sure. That you are the one who gave this bottle of perfume to Detective Bad. And that you're super easy to rile up. I got her. So, what about the perfume? While you in lobby number 1, you made a big show about spilling some of this perfume. According to Detective Bad... Oh, I know. You also knew that if you spilled it, he would naturally move to open a window. It's too bad the Cardinals won this week. I know! It was gonna be great. I was hoping, this is the one time I was hoping for fucking Karen Rodgers to actually do something, and instead, he lays the biggest fucking egg. He can't even score more points than Mike Williams. Mike Williams himself tied, scoring as many points as the Jets team, which has Devontae Adams, Breece Hall, and Garrett Wilson. Somehow, they can't score more than 6 points against the fucking Cardinals. At least it's worthy of Aaron Rodgers' salty tears. I mean, that's good too, but we have a whole season of that. Just beat them! Beat the Cardinals! Jesus Christ.
Objection!
Come on now, I already told you that it's all just a big coincidence. After we opened the window lobby number 1, I just left it open, you know? So maybe it's just dumb luck that we heard the gunshot through the window. And yeah, and then also, it still makes me mad, because like, the Rams this week decided that this is the time that they want to become totally inept with offense. And just can't protect shit, right? Where all of a sudden, like, against us, down by 10, they turn into Superman. Fucking coming back from everything. So dumb. So dumb. But hey. Maybe we should never place faith in the New York Jets. Look, one time, you know? Because it was beneficial to me and the Niners.
Objection!
The timing of when we're going to spill a spilling perfume is something you could control. And the most important fact about this case is when people were made to hear the gunshot. Furthermore, it would have been pointless if you didn't have an alibi for yourself at the time. You mean, Miss Yu, you were the one who called Detective Bad into lobby number 1, when you saw him bring Detective Gumshoe into the hallway. Is that correct? All of today's premeditated events could have been thought up by you, Miss Yu. The Niners won even though below expectations? Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't have been that close at all. You know? They should have put up enough to be up like 2 scores, make it really difficult for Baker, and then, you know, and most will win comfortably without having to have like Brock and Jennings be fucking heroes at the end. But, you know, luckily we still came out with a win. But still, well, you got like, I mean, it's not like the kicker is one thing. He's coming back from injury, but the other thing as well is just a matter of like special teams again. How is it that there's another blunder with a punt return that allows like the momentum to swing, and then the opposing team immediately scores a touchdown? It happened like in the beginning of the second half again, because that happened before too. Special team kicking is so bad. Is like why is this guy still on the team? I don't get it. It was a problem last year, and they decided to still run back with this guy. You accuse me of murder on the fact that I spilled a little perfume? Well, allow me to say this much. I couldn't have killed Mr. Faraday. We should have hired, like, the guy from the Raiders that went over to Green Bay, Rich Bisaccia. He's like a special teams guy for years. And it's like, no, we decide not to, but whatever. Nepotism or something. Probably nepotism. I wouldn't be surprised. All of coaching is nepotism anyway. Would you care to testify as to why? Look, I had a lot of fun today, really. But I grow weary of this game of cat and mouse. Let's make this the last testimony and wrap up this absurd case once and for all. Accusing someone of murder over a spilled bottle of perfume is a bit over the top, but I suppose forgery evidence is to be suspected of a disciple of Von Karma. In any case, it simply could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife that was used to kill him came from. Miles, her testimony is flawless. Joseph Sala be a guest coach or something? It's not possible. He's already signed as a consultant to the Packers. Because he's best friends with the head coach of the Packers. People are saying that he was like the best man at the guy's wedding. And all in all, the defense of the Niners this week was pretty good. Other than that last drive where Nick Bosa decided to, play two-hand touch with Baker Mayfield. And we had like 4 different personal foul penalties on the same drive that allowed to keep extending to get into into the red zone.
Hold it.
I think I already explained the significance of that earlier. You only confirmed that I did spill some perfume, but that's all. That you would accuse me of murder based on a simple spill? Don't you dare complain about when I sue you for defamation of character. Do as you like, but as for me, I believe. You believe? I believe that you are the true culprit in this case. My, you're enthusiastic. Of course, I should have guessed. I formally request that you desist in your attack against my mentor. Yes, or we'll sue you for defamation. All I'm doing is telling the truth. Well, maybe more spreading like gossip. Although, your adamant denial, shall we say, just adding fuel to the fire. How dare you? Say such a thing. Calm down, little girl. Don't let her get to you. Aw, why'd you have to ruin my fun? Well, shall I continue?
Hold it!
And why exactly could you not have killed him? I was just about to testify that. You're such an impatient man. I'm not really into that, you know, Edgeworth. Your preferences have no bearing on what is at hand. Being a little uncomfortable, are we?
Objection!
Miss Yu, you will desist in this tomfoolery and return to your testimony. And Miles, if you're gonna lose your cool, then I won't show you any mercy. Sorry. Miss Yu, please continue with your testimony. Sure. As I was saying, I couldn't have possibly killed Mr. Faraday. It wasn't as bad as Washington losing the game on that one penalty then. Like, literally the play which everybody fucking knows that it's gonna be like, they're not gonna run a play, they're just trying to draw you offside. And then the rookie decides, oh, I'm gonna jump. You know? Which is like, I guess it kind of works out anyway, because that's one less what, you know. Another loss to another NFC team, which is fine. And then we got Russell Wilson doing the corny ass dance that he was doing at the end, so it works out.
Hold it!
At this rate, she will inevitably escape. But if she really was the one who killed Mr. Faraday, then she must have known about the existence of the knife. I'm sorry, Miss Yu, maybe you weren't aware. However, the knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday was taken from his evidence bag. Dude can't dance? I mean, he's, you know, he's corny. He's cheesy. That's just Russell Wilson, man. At least he can throw, like, a beautiful, like, moon ball, even, like, falling backwards. Miles, what do you think you're doing? I'm drawing the truth out of her, that's what I'm doing. But I don't recall a knife being presented at the trial earlier today. Well, I suppose that's because the evidence was something Mr. Faraday had yet to use. So that's what you're trying to do. Look, why don't you cut it out with the lies? I've already figured you out. There was no knife inside Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. The only evidence he had to present was the key Yadagarasu had sent. And unless a key can magically turn into a knife, you really don't have a leg to stand on. Oh! Amazing you say that. You was only able to watch the end of that game in a Cowboys game? That was miserable? That's terrible. Because the afternoon games on Sunday were all bad. They were fucking snooze fests. And then the morning games were a lot better. You know, the Niners was very close. The Steelers won as well. I've never intended to do such a thing. It was all a misunderstanding on my part. In any case, I wonder if you might append for what you just said to your testimony. Both teams were sloppy as fuck? Yeah. You mean today's game, right? I don't know which one you're referring to when you say both teams. You're not specifying on that part. The Cowboys? Well, it's not the Eagles that... Well, I mean, the Eagles were kind of sloppy in the first half, but then they, you know... They were able to get back on track once they learned, hey, we're facing the Cowboys. We'll be fine. Miss you, I wonder if you might take a look at this photo for me. This is a picture of the key that the Yatagarasu sent to the police. Eagles are get that shit together, but damn those INTs at the start. I mean, that's just the problem with Jalen Hurts. It was that last year, and it's also the same this year still. It's not as bad, you know, but it's still there. Hopefully we'll see that this Thursday, because they're gonna fight against the Commanders. And you know, Dan Quinn's been playing him for the past couple years as a defensive coordinator, so hopefully he's learned something. It, in fact, has the secret ability to transform into a knife. Did Trey Lance even play for a full... He played a couple series. He did. Which means that what was inside Mr. Faraday's bag was both the Yatagarasu's key and the murderous knife. You knew that the key was inside Mr. Faraday's bag, did you not? Yes. Well, with the Yatagarasu's key alone, it's more than possible to kill Mr. Faraday. Do you understand now? Just knowing the existence of the Yatagarasu's key. I still haven't had a good look at it. Showing it to me from that far away, you could be lying for all I know. Dak, we fucking suck, Cliff. I mean, you know, they suck so bad that he's gonna get off season-ending surgery, so he doesn't have to play anymore for the Cowboys. He got paid and was just like, I'm good. I'm not feigning anything. But we can't have you accusing me of crime with false evidence, now can we? I mean, Mr. Von Karma, I heard some very interesting rumors about him. Are you mocking my papa? Don't you dare sully the good name of my mentor. Now take a good look. This piece of evidence is more than real. Wow. Who knew that there was such a trick in this thing? Are you satisfied now? But of course, you knew from the very beginning, didn't you? You knew that the knife and Yatagarasu's key are one and the same. Otherwise, someone like you who isn't a member of law enforcement and who would never have privy to have been to this trick would have never known about it to begin with. Furthermore, the something that the Yatagarasu sent to the police, how did you have knowledge as to what it was? All this makeup she keeps putting on, I know. It's just like 5 layers of makeup at this point. His and CD's are like 60% of the cap next year. Back at 60 million. CD is like 30. The cap is like way higher. I forget exactly what it is. It's not 60%. That's 255 million. So 90 million is not 50%, 60%. I actually heard it from Mr. Faraday. Just before he dragged Mr. Rell off, he told me. Oh, and that's right, I almost forgot. He also told me about the key turning into the knife at that time. He didn't tell me about how the key actually transforms. What you're saying is simply impossible. Oh, and why not? Because Mr. Faraday himself didn't know about the hidden knife within the key. From within these pages, he mentions nothing about a knife.
Objection.
I'm not sure he would have written everything in his organizer, you know. Wouldn't something of that importance be better left to oral communication?
Objection.
Unfortunately, that is also impossible, because Detective Bad didn't know about the knife aspect either. What would have been highly classified information, even within the police force, and is something that even the lead detective on the case didn't know, why would Mr. Faraday have felt the need to share such information with the opposition? Yeah, I guess you wouldn't have much of a reason to. Looks like I gave a pretty lame excuse, huh? How can you laugh at a time like this? She probably just realized the flaw in her logic and is actually in a panic over it. But that's not something we need to concern ourselves with. I suppose you're right. Miss you. I like to state that I also know how you know the real nature of the knife. Do you now? Huh. Well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and show me? Oh, I will. And I'll wipe that smile off your face by the time we're through. This is it. The moment of truth. The secret behind the Yadigarasu's key. Only one person had the knowledge of it from the get-go. Who would know that? Wh- The Yadigarasu?
Take that!
There's only one person who could have known about the dual nature of the key. And that is the person who sent the Yadigarasu's key to the police. That is to say, the Yadigarasu herself. Are you saying that this lawyer is the great thief Yadigarasu? Miss you used Mr. Rel to lure Mr. Faraday into a trap, didn't you? You who profess to bear a grudge against criminals, why? Why do something like this?